The first Happy Death Day was like Scream meets Groundhog Day. The sequel gets a little bit more complicated. Something's weird.
My flow, my show brought me to
I am on borrowed time here.
brought me all my fancy things.
What the
My crib, my car, my clothes, my
Alright, let's see what you got.
came up and I ain't came.
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage and I have a little problem. Normally all my reviews are non-spoiler reviews, especially for new releases. But that makes it extremely hard to really talk about a sequel to 2017's surprise hit horror movie Happy Death Day. Now I just watched the trailers very carefully because I think what's in the trailers is pretty much allowed to talk about. But here's the deal, while there's one small shot in there and one rather casual line, it's not at all hinting at the actual direction the movie is taking. They even go so far as blatantly lie, because I'm pretty sure there's one line in the trailer that's not being said in the actual film. It's delivered from the off and doesn't really fit in the film's real story. It's probably a deliberate misdirection, but only with the best of intent. I think it's actually very good for a movie not to give too much away. The less, the better, and I will honor that by only talking rather vaguely about the film's true storyline. Just look at that absolutely non-synopsis of a synopsis on IMDb. Tree Geltman discovers that dying over and over was surprisingly easier than the dangers that lie ahead. Well, that could mean anything, but just to make sure, if you don't want to know anything at all, come back after you've seen the movie. And if you like the first film, you should definitely see it. Now let's get started. Happy Death Day to You has been made by the same team that brought you the first film. It was produced by Jason Blum of Blumhouse Productions and directed by Christopher Landon. Landon also wrote the screenplay, while the first film has been written by the comic book author Scott Lobdell. But it has to be mentioned that certain crucial aspects of the first film's story were added by Landon, even though he isn't credited as a co-writer. There are also some elements from the first draft and even from the original ending of the first film that were reworked into the second movie. The cinematography has been done by Toby Oliver in both films, and the score is also once again composed by Bear McCreary. And last but certainly not least, all of the cast is returning as well, which all contributes in making Happy Death Day to You an extremely seamless sequel, which is only amplified by where it takes off, exactly one day after the events of the first film. I myself only watched Happy Death Day for the first time last week, so seeing both of them in such a short period of time was a very neat experience. Now the main danger that comes with a sequel, especially a sequel to a horror movie, and on top of that to a horror movie with such a distinct gimmick as Happy Death Day, is of course that it only repeats what came before. And from what's being shown in the trailers, that might be the case. Our heroine and modern scream queen Tree Geltman, played by the fantastic Jessica Roth, gets stuck in a time loop once again and has to find a way to stop it and continue with her life. Happy Death Day was a clever and most of all very fun spin on the slasher genre that combined Scream with Groundhog Day. Now instead of doing just the same thing again with another killer on the loose, Happy Death Day to You spins the concept even further and adds more fun ingredients to the mix. The sequel can be described as Scream meets Groundhog Day, meets Back to the Future 2, meets The Big Bang Theory. I will say that it does get a little bit convoluted and the actual horror aspect seemed almost pushed to the background this time. I wouldn't go as far as calling it a genre shift, but overall the sequel injects much more sci-fi and also a lot more comedy to the mix. Some moments were downright super silly and the film became almost like a sitcom at times. But for me, that worked. The first film was PG-13 as well, and while it was quite effective and there were some nice jump scares, it was also very bloodless and I enjoyed the whole concept and the strong heroine and her way of dealing with the situation a whole lot more than the actual horror of it. Of course, the horror element runs through the second film as well, but this time it felt more as a necessity. The question who the killer is exists, but it doesn't drive the story forward as it did in the first film. I wish the horror elements would have been integrated a bit more fluid into the overall narrative, but because I like the overall quest and the ideas and the playful nature of it all so much, I didn't mind, and in the end, I maybe even liked the second film more than the first. I really enjoyed how they brought back pretty much all characters and actually did something new and cool with them. Sometimes switching things up completely, and I appreciated that Tree Geldman once again has to learn something essential. I thought this aspect in the first film, her getting nicer and more social, was quite rushed, but at least it was there. And for the kind of movie that Happy Death Day is, it was fine. And so was the stuff in the second film, and I was surprised of how emotional it got. One could also describe it as rather schmaltzy, but again, because of the tone of the film and its gleeful nature, I thought it was fitting. This goes for the concept of those two movies in general. The rules of this world are at the same time clear enough to understand and totally bonkers and full of little holes as well. And without giving anything away, the direction the sequel takes feels also very timely right now, and to say it one last time, Jessica Roth is an absolute perfect fit for the role. The energy, the comedic timing, the likability that she brings to the table, she's quite stunning. So in German I'd say, Happy Death Day to You ist eine fast perfekte Fortsetzung, die den cleveren Grundgedanken des Originals aufgreift und in eine noch verrücktere Richtung fortführt. Der Horroraspekt kommt vielleicht etwas zu kurz, aber der tolle Cast, der spielerische Umgang und die clevere Fortführung der Geschichte machen das allemal wett. I give Happy Death Day to You 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.2, but I don't do that. Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Happy Death Day to You. Do you like the original one? Which one do you prefer? You can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.